I'm an early bird and I'm a night owl, so I'm wise and I have worms.
What are you talking about? You look totally cool, like a real chick.
I look like the Korean Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly was cool.
May he rest in peace, but Buddy Holly was not an attractive man.
I'm not a garbage man. I'm a muffin man.
It's the Al Travis Show. We're lucky to have these next two on. Love having them. Senator Nick Frentz and Steve Fink, Esquire, on the Al Travis Show. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good, Al.
Good.
I'm doing all right.
All right. We're back in your guys' neck of the woods as of yesterday. Just a quick plug to KTOE. They've taken us back on the air, so you guys are back in your hometowns. That's where you guys are from. Senator Nick Frentz, the senator there. It got us right away. I don't know if you guys barbecue guys? You like the barbecue? Sure.
Yes.
All right. Started yesterday because I went to a place called Piggy Blues in Austin. It was fantastic. Never heard of it before. Loved it. So I brought it up, and I've got to have a list of 20 of them so far in a day and a half. Senator Nick Frentz, your favorite barbecue place?
Might be Piggy Blues. We've been down there a few times with a buddy of mine, Tom Baudler, but 3rd Street, obviously, in St. Peter, very popular as well. Locally owned by the Pearson family.
It's called 3rd Street?
I think it's 3rd Street Tavern, or Steve may know. What's it called?
3rd Street. I just refer to it as 3rd Street. That is outstanding.
All right, in St. Peter. Fair enough. How about yourself? What do you got, Mr. Fink? What's your favorite barbecue place?
Well, now that Nick mentioned...
Oh, you can't change. You had one in your head.
Well, I had Kaiserhof and also Ring King out there in St. Peter on the edge of town. That's an interesting little watering hole.
No, you brought that up. Did you listen to that last segment we had?
No.
No? Okay, well, I literally just got the Wing King in St. Peter sent to me. This cannot be true. Brisket rib, smoked rib, prime rib, crab legs, best burgers I've ever eaten. A 7-pound burrito. What in God's green earth in a 7-pound burrito?
That's not a burrito. That's a sturgeon.
It's a rack of lamb. Yeah, anyway, they came up. Somebody else, Don, said that was his favorite place as well. Okay, so St. Peter, well represented with the barbecue sauce.
If you've not been to the Ring King there, you've got to... you got to get there early. There's no, you see it as you get in there, and it's a bit of a 3-ring circus. But,
well, it's that good.
Fun event.
A friend of mine, I got my first Traeger this year. My son had gotten one, so I bought a used one because I was like, I enjoy that a bunch. I enjoy sitting out having a cigar and putting something on the grill and waiting 4 or 5 hours. I can't imagine doing that day after day after day, and evidently this Wing King's got some 30-foot long new. That's just that's a commitment to making good food, to do that every day. I give him credit.
For sure.
Nothing from the staff. Okay, nothing from the staff. Let's talk about what's going on. Senator Frentz, can you give us the inside skinny? I was reading in the Take today, the Daily Agenda, that some people are thinking possibly a special session tomorrow. What?
I think that's a little optimistic. We've got about 80% of the budget bills wrapped up, but there are still disagreements circling around the tax bill, including protection for sustainable aviation fuel, which I support and is a huge Southern Minnesota priority and thought to be non-controversial. And then data centers, which in the Energy Committee, which I chair, is a topic that relates to these large energy users that are basically a huge warehouse of server farms. They bring tremendous jobs and economic growth, but there are also legislators who worry about tax incentives for larger companies. And so those are a couple of issues that are holding up the tax bill. I'd be surprised if we went on the floor tomorrow without an agreement.
Can you bust that down on the data center thing? Because I was just reading about this yesterday. Evidently, Minnesota is like prime data center area in that we're cool in the winter. Of course, half the time of the year, you don't have to do as much to cool it because you can turn in cold air and you'll be good. And you need a lot of water, and, we're the land of 10,000 lakes. This seems like a prime spot. What is again, no one wants to give tax breaks to rich people, but if it gets them here and it starts, and we've done that with other projects, given tax consent, what is the number? Is there a number that'll make people happy?
You would think. We had agreement on, let's put it this way. In 2011, the state of Minnesota passed a basic sales tax exemption for data centers extended to the year 2042. As you pointed out, we do that for lots of businesses, whether it's the small business administration, a restaurant loan, whether it's a medium-sized business, and we bring in big businesses all the time. Hopefully the tax break that we give to those businesses comes back to us many times over in jobs, local and state payroll taxes. And in other states, data centers have been a significant economic driver. Your friends in the great state of Iowa, just a little south of your house there, Al, announced on Friday $7 billion in data center construction. And the significance for some people includes that the jobs to build these projects, 800 million, a billion, are the equivalent of an entire Minnesota state bonding bill. So the labor unions are extremely concerned. A version of the tax bill came out last week, which did not include what many thought were previously agreed to data center provisions, and actually included an increase on taxes for existing data centers. So that's where some of the trouble came. Those that are concerned about water would be relieved to know that there's agreed upon water permitting language. I'm persuaded this language would actually be better for the environment than what we have now. For context, there are about 40 data centers that have been built in the last 14 years in Minnesota, and they do just fine.
All right. Steve, let me ask you this. Can you sum up in your head why we're where we're at today with the idea that we would be, well, they already sent out, I presume, pink slips this week to those people that may not have a job at the end of the month with the state if we don't get this bill done? What do you perceive as the holdup? This data center thing is new. As yesterday is when I first heard that might be one of the holdups. What are the things you feel you understand are the reasons we're in the spot we're in?
Well, I think it's some of the the agreement that was reached by the leadership, and the heads of the House and the Senate, the two sides and the parties, they reached an agreement. This is essentially a split legislature. So I wasn't sure why. There was obviously some pushback. 10, 12, whatever number of legislators came forward into the governor's reception area or whatever that is, and squawked about the removing that. What I didn't understand is if it's that close, if all of the Republicans vote in the same way, and Nick, I don't know that that's the case or not, but let's assume they do. They only need 2 Democrats in the House and the Senate to pass, and 1 in the House, or vice versa, whatever it is. While I'm just surprised we're back where we are. I thought the agreement certainly ruffled feathers, but all you needed was the people that signed off on it, plus all the Republicans, and we got ourselves a deal. So obviously something derailed from the time they made that announcement until that they adjourned without a deal.
That's a great question for you, Senator, and please, if that's behind the scenes stuff, you can't tell us. We literally watching the governor give we all didn't get what we wanted. Everybody got a little something, and you're thinking, okay, this thing's done. We're going to get her done on time. And then you start hearing the banging on the door. And honestly, I'm like, oh, some Republicans are teed off. But when you got behind the door, it was your team were mad at their team leaders. Were they told ahead of time? Were they finding out in real time like I was, and that's why they were upset? It would seem strange if that were the case. What was the behind the scenes?
Well, Steve makes the correct point here, which is it's one thing for 3 or 4 leaders to sign an agreement. They don't always have the express consent of every member of their caucus. And in the House where they're tied, we have not seen a single example of a Democrat or Republican breaking from their caucus. So you can deadlock in the House, and of course the House approval is needed. Your question, Al, is another good one, which is, okay, what happens when members find out their leaders have agreed to something that they don't like? Well, I'll just say this for my friends on KTOA, glad to be back. There's a difference between don't like and I will not vote for, and we're finding some of that. You're referring to the healthcare for undocumented adults issue, but there are several others. We've mentioned data centers, sustainable aviation fuel, and several others where members of all 4 caucuses at times have said, my leader may have signed it, but I don't like it. And where the rubber meets the road is when members say, not only don't I like it, but I will not support it. We're at that point with the tax bill, it sounds like.
Steve has an interesting point, though. If the members the folks who signed off on it, let's just put out Murphy and Hortman, if they thought this was great and the Republicans agreed, and here's the thing, those 2 alone could vote with the Republicans, get the bill that they wanted. But you're saying some Republicans must also not be thrilled with something in there, because otherwise that would work either way, right? If you signed up.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and this is what I'm doing up here. If you can tell, I'm up here in St. Paul. Beautiful day. Okay, not beautiful. The Republican caucus in the Senate did not sign the agreement, and they are a minority caucus. So, as you know, Democrats, my caucus, have a 1-seat advantage. And for whatever reason, Senator Mark Johnson, the Senate Minority Leader from East Grand Forks, did not sign the agreement. They have indicated informally they will not put up any votes at this point, so that Senator Murphy, whose signature is on the agreement, has to deal with the issue of, does she have votes to pass it? Again, signing the agreement isn't quite the same thing. And this is a historic, closely divided legislature. I don't mind taking the Al Travis Show platform, one of my favorites, to just say, we got a bunch of grown-ups who could easily compromise, providing wins for each of the 4 caucuses, but we don't seem to be going down that road right now. And I think the people of Minnesota are already seeing layoff notices sent out. Yeah. And I would say, if you got a legislator who says I won't compromise, I'd probably send him or her a nice email saying, get off your butt and start compromising.
A nice email. We got a real break. Steve, make you feel any better? You have Senator Nick Frentz. Guy's up there. He's doing this thing. He doesn't make me feel better about the way this is going on. This is almost like, in 5th grade, you're friends with him? Well, then you can't be friends with me. It's just this weird dynamic.
Well, I wanted to hear that, although they had this agreement, because again, my simple mind says if all the Republicans vote in favor of it, it's a done deal. And suddenly it unraveled, which would then clearly suggest that all the Republicans apparently weren't all in favor of it.
Agreed. I want to talk one that's really bothered me. The best legislation I think that was out there for this state, and everybody's got their own thing. I want to talk about it. It was Senator Gustafson, Independent Office of Inspector General or whatever. I'd love to talk about it. I shouldn't ask because it was 60-7 in the Senate, but I don't know offhand where Senator Frentz voted on it. We'll talk about it on the other side right after this on the Al Travis.
I was a yes.
Okay, there we go.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
I'm going to throw it out here, give you two the last 5 minutes to discuss. So I'll start with you, Steve, because you're a law and order guy. You're an attorney. We have a bit of a problem with people, I say stealing from us, but it's really just walking up to the teller, throwing a few names and getting checks. It's so easy to take from us, fraud in Minnesota right now. At the very beginning of the session, right after the Democrats came back, the first thing the Republicans did is said they put up a rule, this is in the House, if you work for the state of Minnesota and you suspect fraud, you must turn it in. By a party line vote, that was thrown out. Then Senator Gustafson comes up with his independent office of Inspector General, whatever it was. We're going to pull it all over so they can be on their own, not underneath anybody. Sounds like a great bill. We've had her on the show many times. She's working with Republicans. 60, and this is why, Nick, Senator Frentz, you shouldn't get held accountable for this. 60 Democrats and Republicans come together in the House, or Senate, and voted for it. This legislation makes sense. There might need some stuff to work out. It comes to the House, and Steve, they voted it down on party lines. I don't even know how to say this. The governor's out in South Carolina ripping on Musk because he didn't get as much money as he thought he would with Doge. We're being robbed blind here, and we won't stop it. Your thoughts on how we could turn down an independent, they said it was $9 million. It cost too much. We know $600 million was taken out the back door. Your thoughts, Steve?
It's to me, it's a situation where we're in where people are so captive to having to retain a party line that they do not vote for things that most people would say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and that's on both sides of the aisle. That's for sure. So this maybe seems like a kind of a no-brainer, and yet it doesn't pass. That's just where we are right now. People are afraid that they're going to lose power within their party if they somehow look at like they're voting with or compromising with, or quite frankly, half the time it's even being friends these days with somebody from the other side.
Well, that's our biggest problem, being Frentz's friend, right? He's the other side. But, Senator, you went and voted that way. You obviously realize there's some good in this thing. How is Steve right? There can't be 67 humans on that side of the fence, and one didn't think this would probably be good for us, but was forced not to vote that way. How come that worked that way? And I'm not blaming you for every Democrat, but you got to be kidding.
Well, first of all, Steve's always right. And if I could just get this session done, I could get back to North Mankato and hang out with Steve once in 1,000 years, which I would really like to do.
3:32 tea time on Thursday, by the way.
No, I'm up here, third week in a row. Here's a couple things. This is a great topic, Al, and I welcome input from your listeners. Send us an email. Let us know what you think. First of all, it's an obvious light being shown on the difference between the House and Senate. Senator Heather Gustafson, the author of the Office of Inspector General bill, is my good friend and seatmate, and I have walked that walk with her, and I think we should pass it. It's true that there are 12 agencies that already have inspector generals within them, and it's also true that the federal government mandates a separate inspector general for health and human services for every state.
Yeah.
So that we do want to make it harder for people to steal from us. Other states have had problems, but Minnesota, I think, should take this step. Some people said it was a little bit of overkill. Given where we've been the last 5 years, I'd say let's have a little bit of overkill on policing and inspector general work. And if it proves to be too expensive, we can walk it back. But Steve's also right in pointing to the other chamber where, again, there has been no member of either party that's broken from their caucus in any way on any vote. And I would submit to the two of you gentlemen, Southern Minnesotans just like me, most people would like you to vote against your party once in a while and put your district first. And I'm glad to have done that on the OIG. And as you know, the Blue Dog Coalition did that on some other issues, including employer mandates. I think that is actually making you stronger. And Steve, your point about, worried about where you stand in the caucus, I think you have more to lose by just being sort of someone who always votes with the party. I think you are stronger at the ballot box if you're known for being in the middle and voting with both parties at times.
Well, I would hope is right. We're out of time, guys. I really do appreciate being. I hope you're right at some point, both you guys, Steve and Nick, in that if you're voting for me and you come from Southern Minnesota and our district wants this, you vote the way we want it. We'll let the chips fall where they may. But if you're only voting that way because somebody from another district who's in charge says, no, we're not voting for it, that bothers me. Go ahead, Nick. I have 15 seconds.
Thank you. I mean, this is the topic for the next Al Travis show, but look at the results of Angie Craig, who voted against Democrats on law enforcement and biofuels. She dramatically outperformed in the second congressional district other Democrats and Republicans. I'm just saying, I think there are a lot of Minnesotans who want to see that once in a while.
I don't disagree. Steve, Senator Frentz, thanks for coming on the program, taking time out. Go get him, Senator. Get this thing done, will you?
Keep
there
working.
You go.
Hey, thanks,
Good seeing you,
guys.
Steve. Good seeing you, Al. I'll be home someday, I think.
Back more after this.
Thanks, guys.